This video is sponsored by NordVPN. For the longest time, I've been avoiding a lot of the romance anime. It simply wasn't something that I was looking for. Kaoru Hana wa Saku, or in English,
The fragrant flowers bloom with dignity.
the Japanese pronunciation was easier, and it hits me like a truck. Hi, have you heard about NordVPN? You see, lately the internet feels like a jungle. Everyone's trying to get your information, and that's where NordVPN comes in. Only one simple click and you get isekai'd out of their sites. Not only that, but you are protected at all times. I've been traveling a lot, and with that, I can't seem to access every show that I want to see. I would like to do a full Ghibli movie review, but I can't seem to access all the movies, and that's where NordVPN comes in. And among all the VPNs that I have used before, NordVPN was actually the fastest. Normally when you connect a VPN, your connection kinda dips and your speed slows, but that never happens with NordVPN. NordVPN is secure, safe, and easy to use. They have a 30 days money-back guarantee, and you can connect to devices with a single account, so feel free to click my link to get 73% off plus 3 extra months. Just click the link down below. That's go.nordvpn.net/SHA0P. Again, thank you NordVPN for sponsoring this video, and with that, back to the video. For a long while, I have been a long anime watcher, and you know from the beginning, when you start watching anime, you just binge anything, and then for a moment that kind of slows down till you start choosing your anime wisely because you don't have enough time or you're just not interested as before. But this one, I binged the entire 8 episodes in one sit. That hasn't happened in a very long time. Like, the feeling of being so interested in a plot and a story, a romantic story of all stories, that type of interest doesn't happen very often. So you know it was peak. It was so peak in fact that I'm recording this after I binged the whole 8 episodes because I want to talk about it so bad. And I want to say this is probably the best romance anime and manga that I have watched in my entire life. Because simply, if you guys wondering how I got to know this anime in the first place, I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw the cover of the manga, and I was like, that's a really cool art style, what's up with that? It's probably just like another romance anime. Only to find out that it has an anime adaptation on Netflix of all places, and it's pretty much airing right now, so I was like, let's go to it. And it was a soulful experience. It was so good in fact that I immediately watched the 8 episodes, and I was like, I want more of this. I want to stay in this world that they built, because everything from the characters to the background to the music to the food, of how they animate the food, the story itself, the characters actually have characters in them. It's not just 2D anime characters talking. It's like real personalities, kinda, if that makes sense. And the characters actually talk to each other. Like, they actually communicate about what's bothering them, what's they're hiding, and what's their stories and all of that. And slowly with each episode, you're just so immersed in this world that you're like, I don't want to go. I just want to stay here and watch more of this and stay with these characters. But let me digest this one by one so you can understand what I mean by this. And hopefully, by the end of this video, you either have watched this when you clicked on this video, or you're gonna watch it, because trust me, it's worth it. Alright, so for the plot, pretty much the story is very simple. We have 2 schools. One is Chidori School, which is basically for lower education for boys, and the next school to it is like 180 degrees difference. It's the Kikyo school, which basically teaches high-skilled, people of society of girls. So we have like a school for boys and a school of girls. One is for delinquent boys and one is like for rich, noble, intelligent girls. And then we have our main character, Rintaro Tsunugi, who basically attends the Chidori school. And basically what happens is he's a guy that everyone kind of prejudges him based on how he looks. He's a tall, kind of has a frightening or a scary expression, even when he's trying to be nice or trying to be considerate. But yet, everyone kind of turns and runs away when they see him because they think he's a scary person. And he has a family type of business. His mother kind of have this bakery that they all work at, and he sometimes helps out when they are short-staffed, right? So one day, his mother is like, I have to go. there's only one customer, we're gonna close soon, so just, take care of that customer and take care of whoever comes next, right? It's late at night. He sees our next main character, I would call her, and I'll say that in a moment, who's basically like in the pastry, in the bakery, and she's like, eating a lot. She has like a very big appetite. And when she sees him, she kind of like gets a bit shocked or scared. So he brings water, he asks her if she's okay, and then she leaves. She kind of like leaves running. So he's like, yeah, another day. She's probably scared of me, right? Now, I don't want to spoil anything. I just want you to kind of like dive into this head first, but that's pretty much how it goes. It kind of like goes about Rintaro and Kaoruko, right? And it kind of like goes between those two main characters. What's interesting about this story is that I feel like Kaoruko is more of a main character sometimes than Rintaro. Like, it doesn't stay at Rintaro as the main character because you see his point of perspective and you see Kaoruko's point of perspective. But the cool thing about it is that this anime was so good in something that I feel like it's very realistic. It's basically one of the messages that the anime was saying and was telling is that every person has some good in them, right? But that good is sometimes buried underneath a lot of maybe trauma, maybe some bad backstories or some past. There's a lot that gets buried because as we age, we do have a lot of things to prioritize or to move on or to live or to see. So that type of understanding that the anime showed made it so much better and so much realistic. And to give you an example, Rintaro is a very kind person, but because every time he's seen as this scary type of person, he kind of just, starts giving up and blames himself every time something goes wrong. Kaoruko kind of like reminds him as their relationship progresses from them meeting each other, knowing, each other's names and all of that, is that you are a very kind person, and that kind of like reflects onto him. He starts being more open towards his friends. He starts being more social with his friends because, he's usually not the type of person that talks about what he likes, what he doesn't like, what happened with him and all of that. Like, he pretty much says early on in the anime is that a lot of his friends, or even most of his friends, don't know that his family owns a business like bakery, right? He kind of like has his life on private. And that was like really interesting. Now, the reason why I'm saying Kaoruko is like one of the main characters, because she's like the main key point, I guess, for making every character change in a very slight way. Like their first interaction, when then she came back and she apologized for, running away, and then her smile alone, like she's one of those characters where her smile can literally like heal you. That's like how good of a character and a person she is. And even he himself says like, I don't want that person to get hurt. And that was like really just interesting to see, because that type of person is like, she came in, she talked with Rintaro, and everything was like going smoothly after their second meeting, and they both have their issues going forward. She's a bit shy, he's a bit like, yeah, maybe she's just scared, maybe I scared her, he's always the type to blame himself and so on. But the reason why I'm saying Kaoruko is like the main character, or like sometimes it switches to her being the main character, because she changed Rintaro a lot. She changed him into this person that's not like exactly change him, but more of like finding his true self, finding that he's the kind of person that he truly is, having more faith in himself, stop blaming everything on himself. And then you have basically Kaoruko's childhood friend, right? When we first introduced to her, she's very hostile toward Rintaro and his friends. And when you first see this, you're like, well, why is she acting that way? And a lot of times when we interact with people for the first time, they're maybe a little bit hostile or a little bit angry. And sometimes we prejudge like, oh yeah, they just hate me. Maybe that's the reason why. But no, we later learned on that, she did live a lot of like past bad stuff with the boys, so she kind of like have a bad impression of them. So that's why like she's acting that way, and she's very protective of Kaoruko in general. And then we have, honestly, like one of the best friend groups we've seen in anime, in my opinion, are Rintaro's friends, right? They pretty much are there for him. They pretty much on from the beginning of the anime when I said like Rintaro is not very open about himself. They pretty much like say, oh yeah, you know, he wasn't like pretty open with us and he's not an open person. We just know him as he is, right? But they stick together. They always like there for each other when it matters. They always just try to uplift each other in general. And the cool thing about that friend group is that there's 4 of his friends. It's not like 2, like the normal like, oh yeah, we have just 3 friends. No, he has 4 friends and each one of them is like different from each other in a different kind of way. We have like the up top, very cheerful, very comedic, comic relief friend. We have the more serious, cool type of friend. And what I love about this friend group is that they keep it a bit realistic. We have Saku, for example. He's a very like cool type of anime characters usually. Like that's the type that you would get him for because he's very silent. He doesn't talk that much. And then his friends kind of like tease him about it. Like, why are you being so shy? We know you're so caring and all. And I feel like that adds a little bit of depth towards the characters and gives it like that little bit of realism in it. When you know, you're trying to act like you don't care or you're too cold, your friends are like, yeah, we know you care. And that's a cool thing about it. And the best thing I feel like that I have seen in this anime is how every character slowly changes and slowly expresses themselves. Because the best thing by far in any relationship, whether it's friends or romantic relationship, is communication. And that anime does it so freaking good. I can't express how good it is when both of the characters, let's say like she ran off, right? She came back and she explained herself. She was like, yeah, I'm sorry I ran off. This is what happened. And she basically like explained herself. No, like, you know, he has to come back for me or anything like that. She basically did the communication. Same thing with him. He also like communicate. He also expresses himself in what he wants to say. And not just those 2 main characters. We have like his friend group, the cold Saku person, for example. He also expresses himself towards his friend. And he's like, you know, this is what I was thinking. This is, I'm not mad about you. I don't want to like dive too much into the plot because I want you guys to enjoy it as much as I did. But every character just explains themselves so freaking good that it's like the communication is just top tier. It's not like they are saying what's on top of their mind every time. It's like they know what they want to say and they find the right moment to say it. Like, let's say I want to apologize to you. I'll do it in that way. Or let's say like, I know you're sad, so I'm going to cheer you up with this activity, for example. That was like the main cool thing about this anime, to be honest. Now, so far as for Rintaro, he's a very kind person, and it's a very realistic type of kindness, even like kindness to a fault, because usually like in real life, for example, the kindest people, sometimes when you see them like for the first time, they're like very silent and they don't express their emotions, but when you get to know them, you're like, oh yeah, that person is really, really nice. And that was like really, really cool, because when you see Rintaro's character and you see Kaoruko's character, Kaoruko is more of like, I won't judge you and I'm kind to everyone type of a character. Even to like the bullies, even to anyone who like tries to hurt her, she's still like kind with everyone. And Rintaro, for example, he's a very kind person, but he would also like hurt you if you try to hurt his closest people. And we see this like no matter who it is, he would just like step out there. And that was like a really cool thing. So far as like who's my favorite characters, to be honest, so far as like to who is my favorite characters, I would say like Kaoruko's friend Subaru. She's like really amazing, because her story when she first gets introduced to how like her past and how her like backstory was, and then you see her character kind of like progresses, and when you see like the depression that she used to have, and now that she's kind of like, you know, getting into more I love myself rather than I hate myself, you seeing that change and you seeing that person trying to just protect her friends because she cares about her deeply, even though she might not do it always in the right way, is a very nice touch. From Rintaro's friend groups, I would say Yurita Ayato is probably like my favorite, because he's just like so nice and he's so kind, but when it matters, he's very similar to like Rintaro, but like in a more of a social kind way. And he's a very just like, I just care about my friends and I'm a nice person overall. I would say like this anime, when I first saw the original cover and I saw the main character, it kind of like gave me a glimpse of Tokyo Revengers, but it's obviously so much better than Tokyo Revengers from the romantic aspect of it to like the relationship aspect of it. And the cool thing about this anime, honestly, this is like probably my top 3 favorite things about it, is that you see Rintaro and you see Kaoruko, right? You see them both, and she doesn't like, oh my god, I fell in love with this guy. No, there's like a slow progression that's like, oh, he made a mistake, I'm not gonna just like, let it slide. They obviously talk to each other. She likes that he's very kind. She doesn't notice that in the beginning, like when he first stares at her, but like when he slowly like she sees him slowly, she's like, I like this guy. After a couple of interactions, after a lot of what happened with them. Similar with Rintaro. Rintaro is obviously doesn't trust his instincts at first. He's like, yeah, she probably was just being nice. She probably got scared. And then he's like so shocked when she says, oh yeah, when I first saw you till now, like I wasn't scared by you at all. And that kind of like gives him a different type of feeling. Like, oh, there is a person that sees me for the first time and they're not scared at all. So that was like a very cool interaction. It was just so good and so refreshing to see this kind of anime. A very, I wouldn't say like 100% realistic take, but a very semi-realistic take on how people would interact, how people would think, how people would feel, their characters, their backgrounds, and all of that. It was just so good at explaining that. And it's such a refreshing take on it as well. Now, one of the cool things that makes you feel immersed in this world is the environment. Because you pretty much have a couple of places that you see in the anime, like the main places. You have the 2 schools, the Kikyo, curtains always closed, and you have the Chidori curtains always open. But then when, Kaoruko and Rintaro basically slowly starts to get to know each other and slowly get closer, she actually opens her curtain, like opens one of the school's windows curtain. And that's like a refreshing start, because then we see like a slow progression between the Kikyo school and Chidori school students coming together, even if it's a small amount, but it's a very refreshing take on it. The environment is pretty much 2 main places, or 3 main places in the next episodes, but like you pretty much have the cafe that Rintaro is working at, and you have the Chidori school, because we didn't get to see Kikyo's school. And that's a very interesting thing, because I feel like they're gonna show it later, but seeing just like the Chidori school and wondering what the Kikyo school is looking like, why the students hate Chidori students so much, is such a nice way. It's like, what's the bad blood between those 2 schools that even the students who don't know the other students are like hating each other? That was such a nice take. And especially like when you're walking with the characters, when you're seeing the interactive backgrounds of the people, and the cafe itself, the food, the way that his mother is like working at the cafe, and then he comes in, he helps his mother out with the cafe. There's just so many things that makes this anime so much live that you actually do feel like you are there with them, because you can relate to a lot of stuff of what's going on, like from their thinking process, from their communication process. Sometimes you want to say something, but you don't know how or where to say it, so you end up just keeping it to yourself. And there is just like so many elements that's very good to this anime that you're like, you just want to be more immersed in this world. There is just so much that I want to talk about, but I just wanted to like summarize my opinions. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and make sure to check it out. I highly recommend it. Just, sit through the first episode, see what it is, and you won't regret it.